Hey guys, Bellamy here from Midnight Suns. I just got back from the Singapore premiere of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So I got this cool comic book yeah, for attending the premiere. I haven't read it, but I hope it's good. Yeah, but anyway, this is just my quick review of the movie. I just got back from seeing it, like I said, so these are just some of my first thoughts about the movie. So I'll just start off by saying I don't think this is as good as the first movie. If you like the light-hearted, optimistic tone of the first movie, then you're still gonna find some of that in here, but not so much. And the story is a lot darker this time, so just to be clear, this isn't as dark as like the Snyderverse, like the DCEU movies, but it is much darker than the first movie. But that being said, there's still a lot of lightheartedness in this movie, so don't be afraid if you are thinking that this is just gonna be a super dark movie. It's not, don't worry. But okay, now let's address the elephant in the room. The number one question that it seems everybody has about this movie. So, the number one question that I always hear from people about this movie is how much screen time does Amber Heard have in the movie? Well, I know she was barely in the trailers, and there's a lot of rumors going around that like 90% of her scenes were cut in the movie. Well, let me just put all those rumors to rest and say that that is just complete nonsense. Like, she's in a lot of this movie, so for very large portions of the movie, she really plays, I would even say, a key role in the movie. And if in fact her scenes were reduced in the film, I couldn't tell, because she's honestly one of the main characters. Like, Aquaman and his brother Orm, the two of them are definitely like the main characters, but of all the supporting cast, she is definitely like has the most screen time of all the supporting cast. Well, except for maybe for the Asian scientist who was helping Black Manta, he has a lot of screen time too. But yeah, apart from him, I think Amber Heard has the most screen time for all of the supporting cast members. Now, she isn't present in like the middle portion of the film, because that's when, well, minor spoilers, but if you've seen the trailers, you already know what's gonna happen. Basically, Aquaman goes on this little journey with his brother Orm, and when they go on that journey, she doesn't really appear much. She doesn't appear at all in that part of the movie. So for those people who are wondering how much Amber Heard you're gonna get in this movie, she's a lot at the start and end of the movie. And I know some people are saying, what, she has like 5 minutes of screen time. It felt like a lot more than that, a lot more than 5 minutes of screen time. She's really one of the most important characters of all the supporting characters in the movie. So whether or not you see that as a bad thing, that's up to you. But I just thought I'd address that question, since it seems to be the number one question that a lot of people have when it comes to this movie. But okay, now let's switch topics and talk about the actual story in this movie. So like I said earlier, I'll try not to spoil anything that hasn't already been shown in the trailers. So basically, the plot of the movie is that Black Manta from the first movie, he was like a side villain in the first movie, but now he's the main villain in this movie, and he's out for revenge against Aquaman, who he blames for killing his dad. So he finds this magical black trident that comes from this legendary evil lost kingdom that the movie is titled after. And this trident gives him knowledge and superpowers, basically. So now, with this trident, he becomes a real threat to Atlantis and Aquaman. And so to defeat Black Manta with his new powers, Aquaman has to break his brother Orm out of prison. And so for those of you who don't remember, his brother Orm was the main villain in the first movie. The first Aquaman movie, that is. Yeah, so this movie completely turns his character on his head. So he was a villain in the first movie. In this movie, he's one of the good guys. He's pretty much an anti-hero. And so a lot of the movie centers around this relationship, this brotherhood that grows between Aquaman and his brother Orm. And that was really quite hilarious, quite enjoyable, and I think that was the main highlight of this movie. Watching their relationship grow as brothers throughout the movie in some pretty funny situations, that's what really kept the movie interesting to me. And I also think some of the supporting characters were great. Like, in particular, there's this talking lobster that I thought was the funniest character in the movie. Like, he doesn't have many lines, but whenever he speaks, it's really freaking hilarious. Like, he has some really hilarious one-liners that I think are gonna be the most memorable lines in the movie. So for those of you who watch the movie, you understand what I'm saying. His character will definitely stand out to you. It feels almost as though he came out from like SpongeBob. But okay, now let's quickly talk about my main complaint about the movie. So I really want to spoil as little as I can. So let me just say I was extremely disappointed with the final battle at the end of the movie. So throughout the movie, they keep building up this epic showdown between Aquaman and the good guys and this... Well, how do I put this without spoiling it? But basically, there's this Dark Lord supervillain that is being hyped up throughout the movie. So when he finally appears at the end, when the showdown happens, it just ends instantly. And it was so anticlimactic. It felt as though they were just rushing to wrap up the movie as fast as they could. And that really, to me, that was the main thing that brought the movie down. And speaking of endings, I would actually say this movie was a pretty good ending to the DCEU. So for those of you who don't know, the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, is being rebooted after this movie. So everything that comes after this will be... all the movies that come after this will be part of James Gunn's new DCU, his new DC universe. So this is the end of the Snyderverse officially. So how does this movie stack up as the grand finale of the DCEU that began with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel all those years ago? Well, let me think. I actually think this movie was a pretty good ending to the DCEU. So I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but basically let's just say something massive happens at the end of the movie that really shakes up the world of the DCEU and leaves the DCEU on a pretty optimistic note. And I really like that. Like, if you think about how this movie wraps up the whole DCEU, I thought that the ending was a really great ending for the whole... I really don't want to spoil anything, but it's a really great ending for the whole journey that we've been through with all the Zack Snyder movies, and then subsequently, and then even like Black Adam and all that. I actually felt that this movie was a great ending to all of that. But okay, now let's give this movie a final score. I'm gonna give it a solid 7 out of 10. I don't think it was a bad movie, but it does have some pretty massive shortcomings with the story. Like what I mentioned earlier, like about the ending, the villain, the showdown at the end really not being that good, and there are really some big shortcomings that hold this movie back from being as great as it could be. Is it still worth watching? Yes, I think so. Jason Momoa is so great in this movie, and so is Patrick Wilson, who plays Orm, his brother. Like, the two of them really carried this movie on their backs and made it quite enjoyable overall. Like, their brotherhood, you really feel it, and that was pretty hilarious, pretty fantastic, to be honest. I really like that part of the movie. I really wish that we had more of that brotherhood tone in like superhero movies. But that's my review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Are you guys planning on seeing it? And if you've already seen it, I would be also curious to know what you thought about the movie. So jump down into the comments below and let me know whether you're gonna see it, or if you've already seen it, whether you liked it. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody, and as always, stay gold. Bye guys.